go to Ruby. Introducing the smart new digital customer service assistant from Digicel. Ruby is at your service 24/7, giving you all the answers you need whenever, wherever. Use the live chat feature in the My Digicel app and type, "Hey Ruby," to get started. And now, you can also chat with a live Digicel customer care agent 24 hours per day. Hey Ruby!
We know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG TCCU terms and conditions apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
The SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited was built by teachers for all Vincentians. With over 40 years of providing our members with savings and loan services, we are the credit union of choice in St. Vincent. Visit us on all socials and at www.tccusvg.com to find out how you can become a member. SVG TCCU Limited, members serving members.
We know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG TCCU terms and conditions apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
The SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited was built by teachers for all Vincentians. With over 40 years of providing our members with savings and loan services, we are the credit union of choice in St. Vincent. Visit us on all socials and at www.tccusvg.com to find out how you can become a member. SVG TCCU Limited, members serving members.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the SVG Community College Debate Competition 2022 final round. We thank you for joining us online, and we thank those who are here with us today in person. Director of the SVGCC, Mr. Nigel Scott, Mr. Gaymes, one of our sponsors from the Gaymes Bookstore and a member of our Board of Governors, our judges, other students, good afternoon. Please stand. We'll start this afternoon's proceeding with a word of prayer before we get our competition underway. Gracious Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for bringing us here together as friends, as competitors, oh Lord. Father, we ask that everything that we do here today will run smoothly, oh Father, and that it will bring you honor and glory. Lord, we pray for all competitors. We pray that you'll take away all fear from them and that they will have a good, clean competition. All these things in your name we pray. Amen. Okay, you can have your seats. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who were not here with us yesterday, I will reintroduce our judges. Our chief judge is Mrs. Eula Adams. She is a past deputy director of the SVG Community College, and she is a lifelong educator. Mrs. Adams was instrumental in starting and conceptualizing the WIDC, the Windward Islands Debating Competition, and so we're very thankful to have her here with us today. One of our other judges is Mr. is a lecturer here at the Division of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies in Geography. He's a past student of the University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, and the St. Vincent's Grammar School, as well, of course, of the Division of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies of the SVG Community College. Our third and final judge in the general category is Miss Maurice Butler. Ms. Butler is the Dean of the Division of Teacher Education and is also a lifelong educator with her specialty in language, literacy, and linguistics. For our best speakers, we have, or the Best Speaker Award, our judges are Ms. LaFern Fraser and Mr. Roosevelt John. Ms. Fraser has been a lecturer at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College from 2007. Some of you may know her as our past Miss SVG, as well as Ms. Caraval, and the past chairman of the Carnival Development Corporation Beauty Shows Committee. Mr. John is a lecturer in psychology and communication studies and has also been a lifelong educator here with us at the SVG Community College. So we welcome our judges and we thank them for being here with us again today. I trust and I'm sure they had a lovely time, maybe a little hard in deciding yesterday, but I'm sure they enjoyed the competition yesterday and they're happy to be back with us today. So, our finals, let's get started. Our two divisions who proceeded to the finals yesterday, we have the Division of Teacher Education and we also have the Division of Nursing Education. Today, the Division of Teacher Education is going to be proposing and they will start first, and the Division of Nursing Education will be opposing. I invite both teams to come forward. The Division of Teacher Education is being led as the proposition leader by Mr. Junior Primus and seconded by Miss Naisha Richards. The Division of Nursing Education is being led as the opposition leader by Miss Shadin McLean and the second as Miss Giselle Henry. Our topic for this afternoon's final debate is the continued spikes in COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean are a direct result of Caribbean government's mismanagement of the pandemic. The continued spikes in COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean are a direct result of Caribbean government's mismanagement of the pandemic. Okay? For our competition participants, debaters, I remind you, the first speaker will speak for 10 minutes, our second speaker will speak for 7 minutes, and the rebuttal will be 5 minutes. As I said before, the Division of Teacher Education, you will be starting, and then DNE, you will follow up. Okay, so I wish you all the best in the competition. Proposition leader, you may come forward.
Director of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College, Mr. Nigel Scott, Mr. Gaymes, member of the Board of Governors, Madam Moderator, our esteemed judges, everyone viewing and everyone under the sound of my voice, good afternoon. Leadership is the ability to translate vision into reality. Warren Bennis. Global governments have struggled to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic since it emanated from the Wuhan, China in 2019. In 2020, the world witnessed the larger governments grappling and fighting with the pandemic. Retrospectively, Italy, the USA, and the UK have all fought debilitatingly against the virus. Therefore, one would expect that the smaller governments would recognize the enemy at hand and prepare their soldiers for war proactively. However, regional governments have absolutely made a mockery of managing this pandemic. This is evident through two main avenues. Avenue one, the mismanagement of available resources, and Avenue two, a clear situational unawareness by the government. First of all, let us define the term government. Now, government, for the purpose of this delivery, refers to the political system by which a country or community is administered and regulated. And community, in this context, is the collective group of island nations that make up CARICOM. The point is, governments mismanaged their resources during the pandemic. Resources refer to all factors of production available to the government during the pandemic. The term failure is always a comparative term. Merriam-Webster defines mismanagement as managing something poorly. So, in other words, the governments were ineffective and inefficient in allocating their resources towards managing this pandemic. The first and most important resource that was mismanaged was the human resource. By October 2020, CARICOM had permitted one of its member states to allow trained, registered nurses to leave for the United Kingdom during the height of the pandemic. In military terms, this is taking the infantry of your army and sending them to a foreign nation while you're in the heat of the battle. Madam Moderator, I want to ask you, does this seem as effective management to you? In Barbados, the Barbados ambassador to CARICOM described PCR tests as a luxury that could not have been spent on asymptomatic persons because they did not seem to be sick enough. Asymptomatic persons are the most lethal carriers of this virus, simply because they have it, they transmit it, and they don't know. Can we therefore say that governments manage this situation effectively? Absolutely not. Simply because you allow the ignorance of the simple man to spread this viral and fatal virus throughout your nation. Honorable Sinclair Jimmy Prince said that early detection is key. If the common man in this nation sought detection, majority of the time he would not be able to find it. Why? Because 9 out of 38 clinics were without tests in St. Vincent. 9 out of 38. Yet the government is saying that early detection is key. Yet, we're still asking the question of whether or not they effectively manage this situation. How can you manage something you do not know about? How can you manage something you cannot help persons to find out whether or not they are participating in the spread of this virus? How can we? On the other hand, regional countries hoarded COVID-19 vaccines. Yes, this was a great feat. Yes, this was an excellent attempt to try and curb the spread of the virus and try to combat the virus. But you see, Madam Moderator, the issue with this attempt is they brought in the vaccines in such large quantities without conducting any scientific not experiments, but surveys, questionnaires to gather the necessary data to find out just how much of the population would be willing to take this vaccine. As a result, St. Vincent had to basically give away, donate these vaccines to Trinidad and Tobago. That is one waste of vaccines gone down the road. Compounding this situation, this donation costed us US $70,000. $70,000 that could have been used to supply more tests to the clinics. $70,000 that could have been used to purchase more equipment, such as the ventilators, such as PPE, the personal protective equipment that our nurses have been yearning for. $70,000 simply given away. In essence, you could almost say that we gave up $140,000 because we lost the vaccines and then we still had to pay for the vaccines that we could not use. Does this show effective management? I want to say that without a doubt, this reflects poor management, and it shows that our people were left to suffer the brunt of it. Additionally, the Bible says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge in Hosea 4:6. I reiterate that you cannot manage what you do not know about. The mutative nature of the COVID-19 virus requires constant and consistent monitoring for effective handling. What scientific measures were put in place to monitor the virus? How much resources were allocated to simply researching the virus, to detecting trends, future predictions? How much resources were given to that? As a result of the lack of this knowledge, people were left to their own devices. Do we remember in December, when the pandemic first arrived at our shores, we still had 9 mornings. In Jamaica, curfews were lifted so that persons can continue having their traditional Christmas shopping. Likewise in Barbados, administrative measures were used and they quickly became complacent. This, Madam Moderator, my esteemed judges, I must say, reflects poor management of this situation. Should I even mention that in the following months that each country experienced spikes, major spikes throughout? That goes without saying. In a sense, failure was inevitable once those loopholes existed within the system. In conclusion, make the comparative analysis of how international governments handle the situation versus how regional governments handle the situation, and consider the mismanagement of resources and the lack of knowledge that our government bodies showed during this pandemic, and you will indeed stand in tandem with us to say that these continuous spikes of the COVID-19 cases were of a direct result of government's mismanagement of the pandemic.
Thank you, Judge Junior. Junior spoke for 10 minutes and 42 seconds. Opposing leader, Ms. Shadden McLean of the Division of Nursing Education, to make her presentation.
Protocol having been established, everybody good afternoon. Our worthy opponent stated that 9 out of 38 clinics are without tests. Might I draw this to your attention that is less than 3.8% of clinics being without tests, less than 3.8%. Reminisce with me. Can you recall traveling throughout the Caribbean region before COVID? No quarantine, no mask wearing, no social distancing, just vibes. What happened? Consider where we are now. Today, my team and I will be opposing the topic. The continued spikes of COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean are a direct result of Caribbean government's mismanagement of the pandemic. We need to remember that our sister island Trinidad recorded their first imported case on 12th March 2020. And on such short notice, our regional governments sped to implement strategies which aimed to eliminate the spike of COVID-19. As a West Indian, have we not been feeling the strain of restrictions today? Have we not been feeling the stress of not even being able to go into the beach because we fear jail time or very heavy penalties? It seems now that COVID is the only thing with free travel throughout the region. I wonder why. I believe that everyone here is critical. We all know exactly why. It is exactly this management of the COVID-19 by our regional governments that have prevented this situation from getting much worse. My team and I are ready to provide you with sufficient evidence that proves that the word mismanagement, when applied to our regional government's handlement of this pandemic, is not correct. In this debate, we will explain Caribbean's government's implication of initiatives aimed at stemming the spread of COVID-19. We will also argue that COVID-19 infection rates throughout the Caribbean have increased significantly through disregard of protocols. We would also support the notion that Caribbean governments are not mismanaging the pandemic, but possess limited necessary funds to perfectly manage each and every aspect, ideally. Without a doubt, Caribbean governments have implemented initiatives aimed at managing COVID-19 spikes. Madam Moderator, it is important to note that one of the many reasons that we cannot travel freely throughout the Caribbean region are because of these measures implemented by our Caribbean governments. We can see in the development and utilization of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, also known as CARPHA. Through their initiatives, there is significant effort by our Caribbean governments to create mandates, policies, and protocols that would help to stem the spike of COVID-19 cases. CARPHA's mission includes promoting and developing measures by preventing of the spread of the disease in the Caribbean and to support the Caribbean community in preparing for and responding to public health emergencies such as this pandemic. Their response also include, might I add, the activation of an incident management team, developing travelers' guidelines through CARICOM, disseminating air and seaport travel guidelines, and let's not forget the implementation of security cluster to track passengers from China through the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security. We would also notice their works in our day-to-day living. We are bombarded with information: wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize often, social distancing. Come on. How then can we say that our governments are not trying to do their part in curbing the spread of COVID-19? Consider the amount of people you see walking around today without their masks, Madam Moderator. Well, by now we should already know combo boss, ain't? Consider this. An article dated December 27, 2021 from Loop News in Trinidad and Tobago stated that, and I quote, "Police detained 100 people on Boxing Night after partying on a vessel," end quote. This is because these patrons breached the country's public health regulations. Furthermore, COVID-19 infection rates throughout the Caribbean have increased significantly due to increased defiance and delinquency amongst its citizens. Madam Moderator, we know ourselves. We know that the government can implement policies and protocols, but at the end of the day, we are going to do what we want to do. Should we then blame that delinquency and disobedience on the government? This region's citizens' lack of awareness to understand that the things that we do play a major part in the role of spikes of COVID-19 is the reason why there is continuous spikes in COVID-19. Realistically, how much of our population actually practices being safe from COVID-19? Majority of us are already fed up and we can't wait for this pandemic to be over. Now, Madam Moderator, we believe in stats, and for that reason, my team and I did an extensive study to find the average cases per day over a 7-day period in the 15 CARICOM countries over 2 different reporting periods during last year and the beginning of this year. Our stats were obtained from the Center for Systems and Science and Engineering in Johns Hopkins University. We did our own tally. We found that June 30th to July 12th of 2021, there were only 43 reported cases per day amongst the 15 CARICOM countries. Comparing that to the period December 30th to January 12, 2022, where there was an increase to 266 cases amongst these CARICOM countries per day. Same protocols amongst these 15 CARICOM countries, yet different outcomes. Who is to blame? How then can we say that the regional governments are not doing their part when we are not even doing ours? Additionally, Caribbean governments are not mismanaging the pandemic, but they possess limited necessary funds to perfectly manage each and every aspect ideally. In a perfect world, of course, we would have an abundance of funds and human resources. Then, of course, we would be able to manage it effectively, not so? But unfortunately, the Caribbean region is known compared to larger territories to having very, very limited gross domestic products. Let me define that term for you. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development defines the gross domestic product as the standard measure of value added created through the production of goods and services in a country during a certain period. Also, according to the World Development Indicators 2021, CARICOM collectively had a GDP of only $12,608 per capita compared to the developed regions such as the United States that had $63,543 GDP per capita, and the United Kingdom with $40,284 per capita. Now, with such low comparative GDP per capita as an entire region, do you then think that our Caribbean governments are able to manage all aspects of this pandemic ideally? Especially considering the many catastrophes yearly that we have to manage. We need to keep in mind that management also involves utilizing what we have to create the best response in whatever we are doing. Therefore, in closing, our governments have done their part to create initiatives that would help to curb the spike of COVID-19. They have also responded to the pandemic in a sufficient way, but they cannot supervise 100% of the population 100% of the time. Our governments have not mismanaged the pandemic, but they possess limited necessary funds to perfectly manage each and every aspect ideally. Madam Moderator, what is left to be considered?
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon spoke for 9 minutes and 48 seconds. I now invite Ms. Naisha Richards to Richards to oppose.
Protocol has already been established. Great leaders take credit when things go right and responsibility when things go wrong. Today, I will further strengthen our stance that the continued spike in COVID-19 cases across the region are a direct result of our government's mismanagement of the pandemic. I will further strengthen our argument through the development of the following points. Point 1, the government's failure to enforce COVID-19 protocols. And point 2, their own failure to lead by example. Let's venture a little bit up north. According to the Caribbean Tourism Organization in St. Lucia, the government of St. Lucia has announced that effective May 31st, 2021, fully vaccinated travelers can enjoy more opportunities to travel across the island. All vaccinated travelers now have the experience to enjoy increased activity across St. Lucia. And what's worse, fully vaccinated nationals of St. Lucia do not have to quarantine or test. This goes in direct contradiction to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's stated initiatives that state that all travelers are at risk for contracting and spreading COVID-19, regardless of their vaccination status. Thus, all travelers must be required to the normal testing, to the normal isolation, and to all other protocols that unvaccinated travelers must face. Now, with this evident, how can we confidently say that St. Lucia adhered to COVID-19 protocols. Madam Moderator, let's bring it home for a moment. It has been reported on numerous occasions that persons undergoing mandatory quarantines in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have broken quarantine. The Asbeth News Network reported that a 44-year-old woman who was required to quarantine herself broke the rules and went to the St. Vincent Cooperative Bank to have a transaction. And she would have gotten away with it too, had she not had the foresight to tell a customer service representative that she should be in quarantine right now. Concerningly, this woman went on to test positive. While we can blame this woman for her callous disregard for human life and her reckless behavior, as we should, it begs the question, who is truly to blame? This woman was by no means a worthy opponent, and yet the government failed to supervise her. They failed to ensure that she adhered to their own protocols. In a utopia, of course, we would love for our citizens to abide perfectly, but this is not a utopia. Further, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Public Health Act rules in 2021, Rule number 7, subsection 1, states that the drivers of public service vehicles shall not carry more than 15% of what the vehicle is licensed and registered to carry. Now I must pose this question. How many minibuses do you see across St. Vincent and the Grenadines currently adhering to those protocols? Make no mistake, while it is easy to blame the van drivers for disregarding the rules set by the government, do you believe if they knew every time they violated this rule, they would have to pay $500 that they would have continued to demonstrate this callous disregard? Can we blame the van drivers if the government failed to hold them accountable? Further, the 3 most effective ways, a wise man once said, the 3 most effective ways to lead people are by example, example, and example. It is unquestionable that our government failed in this regard. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 2020, the government held its long-awaited general elections. Both leaders on both sides purported crowd sizes in the thousands. One quick glance at the live stream published on the Unity Labour Party's Facebook page in November of 2020 showed a jubilant crowd of supporters. Not a mask in sight. In 2021, a protest held by the New Democratic Party opposing the then proposed vaccine mandate. Supporters walked with their points, their passions, and their furies. The only thing missing, it seems, was a bottle of hand sanitizer and a leader who was complicitly silent. How then can we say that our government led by example? Make no mistake, the people are watching. And when our leaders demonstrate a disregard for the same rules that they propose, for the same rules that they claim to implement, how then can they expect the people to follow? Our government must first practice what they preach before our people can follow. This is not do as I say and not as I do. Madam Moderator, it is a grim precedent to set when we allow our governments to shirk responsibility onto the people. They are the ones elected to lead. They are the ones elected to keep us safe. And thus, we cannot allow them to get away with murder. Unfortunately, their failures to consistently enforce their own protocols and their failure to lead by example demonstrate a clear mismanagement of this COVID-19 pandemic. This mismanagement undoubtedly led to the spikes in COVID-19 cases across the region.
Thank you, Naisha. Naisha spoke for 7 minutes and 37 seconds. I now invite Joselle from the Division of Nursing Education to make her presentation.
There is an old colloquial saying that goes, bad things never get the right owner. With increased prevalence of chronic non-communicable diseases and the increased mortality rates in patients with underlying conditions, at-risk Caribbean countries had to prepare for adequate hospital capacity. As this COVID-19 virus spreads rapidly, an importance for robust primary healthcare programs has been a driving factor for regional systematic approach. CARICOM, Pan American Health Organization, OECS, and CARPHA all came together to maintain and manage this pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated unequivocally the value of multilateralism in the Caribbean region. Therefore, we cannot possibly believe that the continued spikes of COVID-19 cases within the Caribbean directly result from the Caribbean government's mismanagement of this pandemic. My team firmly made this case with no room for doubt because, firstly, regional governments heavily implemented several safety protocols as recommended by health authorities to reduce the transmission of this virus. And secondly, we must consider conspiracy theorists and their role when we think of the continuous spikes of COVID-19 in the Caribbean. During this COVID-19 crisis, different regional countries implemented several protocols to reduce the spread of the virus. According to CARPHA, Antigua and Barbuda, Aruba, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, just to name a few, implemented curfews. How many people do you think conform to this curfew mandate? In a press conference, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, stated that Jamaicans are the ones to blame for the continued spike in COVID-19 cases. Many were caught and heavily penalized, but still refused to adhere to these protocols. Throughout the Caribbean, there is a mask mandate. But how many people do you see on a daily basis in public without a mask? How often has ministries of health in the Caribbean emphasized these protocols to us, whether it may be by drives or media campaigns? Madam Moderator, how much of us are listening? Madam Moderator, let us not forget the No Movement Day that was implemented by our government in 2020. Do you know what the reaction of our citizens were? We outside. Think they were just making light of this situation? On both No Movement Days, Vincentians were outside from leeward to country. Many were asked to be removed from public beaches and picnic spots. Caribbean countries such as Jamaica and Barbados implemented these same No Movement Day. Ask yourself this question. As I, as an individual, always adhere to these COVID-19 protocols, then ask yourself, is the government really to blame? According to the Gaymes 2021, a consistent feature throughout this pandemic has always been a small but vocal group of conspiracy theorists who seek to deliberately undermine the hard work of Caribbean governments toward this pandemic. A survey conducted by Enders et al. In 2021 shows that the belief in such theories stem from a lack of confidence in strategies aimed at addressing the pandemic. These conspiracy theorists are more likely to refuse wearing a mask, social distancing, or even getting a vaccine. Some of them even believe that there is no virus. Spreading false information puts the entire Caribbean population at risk. Yet, there are still people who have the audacity to blame our government. Madam Moderator, regional governments have aimed at protecting the lives of our citizens by encouraging them to take a COVID-19 vaccine. Yet in our very own country, our vaccination rate is only 27.7%. And yet, this is only because they were pressured by our government to do so. Is the rate of death in unvaccinated individuals not higher than that of vaccinated individuals? I will reiterate that in our very own country, there have been 86 COVID-19 deaths. 84, yes, 84 of those deaths have been unvaccinated. To conclude, the continued spikes of COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean is not a direct result of Caribbean government's mismanagement of this pandemic, but rather the delinquency of Caribbean citizens when it comes to protocols and to think of the power they have given to conspiracy theorists. Given the fact that Caribbean governments are dedicated, despite all the aforementioned difficulties, it is against my team's conscience to stand here and accept any notion that Caribbean governments are responsible. I will leave you with a question today. Should we then point our fingers at Caribbean governments, or should we point our fingers at the individuals who blatantly disregard their good work towards this COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you very much, Giselle. Giselle spoke for 7 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, so we thank our teams for their prepared presentations. We will now move into the rebuttal. Both teams, you will have 5 minutes to prepare your rebuttal. And that time starts now. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the Teachers Cooperative Credit Union, the National Lotteries Authority, Gaymes Bookstore, and Digicel.
We know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG TCCU terms and conditions apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
The SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited was built by teachers for all Vincentians. With over 40 years of providing our members with savings and loan services, we are the credit union of choice in St. Vincent. Visit us on all socials and at www.tccusvg.com to find out how you can become a member. SVG TCCU Limited. Members serving members.
Hello to Ruby, introducing the smart new digital customer service assistant from Digicel. Ruby is at your service 24/7, giving you all the answers you need whenever, wherever. Use the live chat feature in the My Digicel app and type, "Hey Ruby," to get started. And now you can also chat with a live Digicel customer care agent 24 hours per day. Hey Ruby. Say hello to Ruby, introducing the smart new digital customer service assistant from Digicel. Ruby is at your service 24/7, giving you all the answers you need whenever, wherever. Use the live chat feature in the My Digicel app and type, "Hey Ruby," to get started. And now you can also chat with a live Digicel customer care agent 24 hours per day. Hey Ruby. Say hello to Ruby.
Minutes. So we are about to start the rebuttal. Our first speaker will be the proposition leader from the Division of Teacher Education, Mr. Junior Primus, and he will be followed by Ms. Shadden McLean, the opposition leader from the Division of Nursing Education. Judges, if you can just let me know if you're ready so our teams can make their presentation.
successfully and effectively. Their first claim that Trinidad fled to implement policies, it was an appropriate claim. However, they failed to provide any substantial levels of substantiation for this point. Madam Moderator, they also claim that policies were implemented to curb the spread of the pandemic. What are policies if they are not consistently and constantly enforced? They're just words on paper, meaningless, nothing. Clouds without water. Their third claim, Madam Moderator, was that people breached public health protocols. They were defiant and they were delinquent. But the question is, Madam Moderator, were not the governments elected to lead and to guide our people? If you look back to our speech, you cannot do the opposite of what you're telling me to do and expect me to follow you. That is blatant hypocrisy. Their fourth claim that Jamaica implemented curfews. If you listen to our speech, you would recognize that in December, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that he would be lifting curfews to permit the traditional Christmas shopping throughout the nation. So, which one of the curfews are we talking about? It simply shows throughout that there's a high level of inconsistency, and it shows that the governments become simply complacent as soon as things start to go well. In essence, we must hold our governments accountable for the continued spikes in COVID-19 cases. We can sit here and pretend that we live in an ideal world, but, Madam Moderator and our esteemed judges, we simply do not. Are the governments going to wait until circumstances are ideal to enact meaningful change? If the answer is yes, I guess we have a long wait.
Thank you very much, Junior. Junior spoke for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Our next speaker will be Ms. Shadon McLean, who will be doing her rebuttal within the 5-minute period. Time.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I will start this with a quote or a term where I will be defining what the term mismanagement is. According to Law Insider 2020, the term mismanagement is defined as a pattern of incompetent management actions which are wrongful, negligent, or arbitrary, and which adversely affect efficient accomplishment of a function. Therefore, my worthy opponents, mismanagement does not mean the failure to act in accordance with a particular thing. Madam Moderator, we are bombarded with policies and restrictions in our daily lives. Can we not then assume that our regional governments are doing their part to curb the spike in COVID-19 cases? Our worthy opponents also stated that there are no vaccines for asymptomatic people. However, in Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Kate Rowley supplied 1.5 million doses of Pfizer to Trinidad and Tobago and also Caribbean countries while the head of CARICOM. But my worthy opponents only focused on the beginning of the pandemic, and they only focused on local stats. So of course, you guys would not have known that. We also see on a daily basis health caravans, and we experience all the health restrictions and travel restrictions that are in place. We are almost daily bombarded by wear your mask, sanitize your hand, you check your temperature, come check your temperature. Therefore, this is not our government's failure to act, but our annoyance to comply. Madam Moderator, our opponents also stated that all protocols imposed for the vaccinated and the unvaccinated travelers are questionable. But these are protocols. And is this not a measure to curb the spike of COVID-19 cases within our region? They are in place. Citizens' disregard of following these policies, protocols, mandates is not the government's failure to implement them, as we are adults and we have sense. I will ask my worthy opponents, can you go to the bank without wearing a mask? Can you go to school without getting your temperature checked? Can you enter any business establishment without sanitizing? Can you move around freely in the region without seeing posters, advisories from CARFA, the various health ministries, pressuring us almost to do what we can to prevent infection of the COVID-19 virus? Are these not protocols? Is this not a step our governments are taking to ensure that the spike in COVID does not get any worse? I would reiterate, Caribbean governments' implementation of initiatives are aimed at stemming the spread of COVID-19. My teammates and I would have explained to you, given you example scenarios, you name it, of organizations, what more do you need? I would also say COVID-19's infectivity rate throughout our Caribbean region have not increased significantly through the government's mismanagement, but through our own disregard for these policies. Lastly, I will say, Caribbean governments are not mismanaging the pandemic. We have to acknowledge and understand that as a region, we possess limited necessary funds to perfectly manage every aspect of this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shadden spoke for 4 minutes and 28 seconds. That brings us to the end of our final round of debate. The judges' marks will now be tabulating, and we'll be back with you shortly.
We know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG Apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
The SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited was built by teachers for all Vincentians. With over 40 years of providing our members with savings and loan services, we are the credit union of choice in St. Vincent. Visit us on all socials and at www.tccusvg.com to find out how you can become a member. SVG TCCU Limited, members serving members.
We know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG TCCU, terms and conditions apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
Hi, my name is Michaela Friday, and welcome to the Division of Arts, Sciences and General Studies here at the Villa campus.
Hello, I'm Maxwell Fergus, Dean of the Division of Arts, Sciences and General Studies. Welcome to our division.
One of the treasures of this division is the Fine Arts, Design and Cultural Communication Associate degree. As you can see here, we have some murals on campus that exhibit the expressive nature of our students. Even off campus, like for example, in capital Kingston, there are murals there that have been done by our students. So right now, I'm standing on the center stage of the campus. We often have presentations here as well as performances. And you can often find students here hanging out when they don't have class time. We call it the octagon. Now behind me, we have 3 lecture theaters, and they can hold at least hundreds of individuals. So these lecture theaters are used to house the audiences for these performances and presentations, as well as larger classes like Associate Degree Business Studies. This is our classroom block. On this block, you'll find numerous classrooms entitled R and a specific number. There's a classroom right here entitled R9. This is the ground floor of the classroom block. Here we have the physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, and language arts labs. And just around the corner, we also have the art room. So this blue area of the campus is the Student Union building. Directly below is our cafeteria, where you can find students hanging out between classes. This building also houses our gym and our student conference room. So directly behind me, we have ample parking spaces for students, as well as all around campus. Directly behind the parking spaces, we have 2 courts that can be used for interdivisional sporting activities. Each court has a bleacher, and underneath these bleachers, we have showers. Okay, so directly across from the Students' Union building, we have the Teachers' building. And here you can find staff and faculty of the Division of Arts, Sciences and General Studies. Hello! Directly below this area, we have the Teachers' Lounge, as well as the Counselor's Office, where you can go for professional, confidential support. So over here, we have the A classrooms. That are elongated classrooms that are used for often larger classes. This is our main library. So, as I said before, this is our main library. We have 2 floors, a ground floor and a first floor. Down here, we can use the computers for research purposes, as well as the reference books for any other research you may need to do. You have the circulation desk where you can get further information as well as assistance. let's head upstairs. So we have to be very quiet up here because we use it for a lot of research purposes, but as well as it's a place where you can be quiet and study alone. We have different cubicles that you can go to, as well as study rooms where you can study in groups. Okay, so now we're in the administrative building where we have the administrative offices. So as soon as you enter the administrative office, you can find the receptionist at the front desk. And then to the side, we have the bursar's office, as well as the registry, and right next door, the sick bay. Okay, so now we're at the divisional office of the Division of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies. Here, all administrative duties pertaining to the students of this division take place. For example, CAPE registration. Hello!
Hi!
This corner of the campus, we have e-college. This is where students can go for support on your e-learning website, student portal, your email, you name it. You come to e-college for all the support you need. We hope to see you soon at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. Bye!
Introducing the smart new digital customer service assistant from Digicel. Ruby is at your service 24/7, giving you all the answers you need whenever, wherever. Use the live chat feature in the My Digicel app and type, "Hey Ruby," to get started. And now, you can also chat with a live Digicel customer care agent 24 hours per day. Hey Ruby!
Okay, it's on now. Yeah, okay. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We would have just concluded our final round of our 2022 debates competition. We are going to do a very quick giveaway today for our online audience, and I will ask our debating coach, Ms. Tedra Kirby, to be viewing the live stream so that the first person who answers correctly will win a prize from one of our sponsors. And so the question is, who are our 4 corporate sponsors for the 2022 debates competition this year? Who are our 4 corporate sponsors for the debates competition this year? So the first person to answer correctly will win a prize from one of our sponsors. Okay, do we have a winner as yet online? So do I need to repeat the question to our online audience? Who are our 4 corporate sponsors for this year's 2022 competition? Do we have a winner? Okay, so there's a spelling typo. Please ensure your entries are spelled correctly and are correct. The full names of our 4 corporate sponsors for this year's competition. and you will receive a prize from one of our sponsors. Unfortunately, I can't tell you which one, as I will be helping you with the answer to the question. So we have a winner, Miss Keisha Davis, I am being told. So Miss Keisha Davis, you will be contacted by our human and communication, marketing manager with the particulars about your prize. You've just won yourself a prize from our corporate sponsor, Digicel. Okay, so I will invite Mr. Gaymes. He's actually one of our sponsors who's here from Gaymes Bookstore, and one of our board of governors who will be doing a handover this afternoon to the SVGCC, and I will ask Mr. Nigel Scott to come to receive that handover from Mr. Gaymes. Thank you. I'll make note that that is just one of the books that we have received from Mr. Gaymes, and so we thank him very much for his donation and continued support to the SVG Community College. I will now invite the one of our judges, Mr. Utama Rose, to bring some brief remarks, as well as Ms. LaFern Fraser.
Okay, let's see here. All right, protocol already being well established. Let me begin by saying good afternoon to everyone, both our physical and virtual audiences. It's really been a heartwarming experience, not only to be a judge, but to bear witness to the past 2 days of competition. I think we have had a wonderful series of debates. So to all the debaters and everyone who made this event possible, I think you owe yourselves a wonderful round of applause. And particularly debaters, when you look at the level of interest generated and the discourse arising from your debates, I think it's safe to say that the students, you should be very, very proud of what you have accomplished. Okay, as it relates to today's finals, we tried to be a bit more critical in our assessments, but nevertheless, you were still able to meet and in some instances exceed our expectations. Today we've had a very close, a very stiff competition, and trust me, you really made lives difficult for the 3 judges here today. There was good delivery, a logical flow of your arguments, well put together. There was also, again, evidence of teamwork, and that particular quality is going to be necessary as you move forward to the regional competition. You took the judges' advice from yesterday, so it's good to see you were listening, and you applied it to today's debate, so that's also good. There was also evidence of a good grasp of the moot, a little better than yesterday, so that's great. Your rebuttals were good. There was less reading. It was impromptu, so that was good to see. You were also able to debate each other's points, particularly in the rebuttal, accurately, tactfully, and respectfully, and that is what we want moving forward. So as you move on towards the Windward Islands debating competition, a few things you should be mindful of. The nerves. Try to stay calm, debaters, right? You're in control, you are controlling the flow and your delivery, so just try to be mindful of the nerves as you begin. Deep breath, and then you deliver. It was a little Vincentian focused, and with regards to the moot, we know that we were speaking regionally, so try to be mindful of your research and to broaden the scope of your research as you move forward to the regional competition. We know that perhaps you were limited in research by time, so the structure of your arguments might have suffered a little bit, and there was a little bit more reading today in the main speeches as compared to yesterday. But all in all, this is great practice moving forward, and you really delivered a high standard of competition. So again, you deserve another round of applause. I hope to see this competition continue to grow from strength to strength. I have to say I would have loved to be a part of something like this as a student, but as a lecturer, you can assure that I will be close, ready and willing to assist in any capacity. This is a great opportunity, students, for your personal growth and development, and I want you all to stick with the debating society and stick with debating. Congratulations again to all of our debaters from all of our divisions across all of the rounds. All the best as we seek to defend our title at the Windward Islands Debating Competition. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. A special greeting to our debaters. You all did a really wonderful job at articulating your points, researching, bringing us the information with passion and with tact. And we really appreciate that. It was an entertaining session this afternoon. I am bringing comments from our team asked to judge the best speaker presentation. And today, what we have noted, I'm going to break it down in terms of different categories that we were looking at, not all of them, but some. In terms of audibility and clarity, it was an easy listening experience for us. We were able to hear you very clearly, you were audible, there was no shouting, but still very clear, okay, and easy to listen to, as I said before. You had good voice projection. Some recommendations though, when it comes to the microphone is not always perfectly adjusted to every speaker. You all have different heights, and so it might be necessary for you to make an adjustment to the microphone in order for it not to affect your audibility. All right, sometimes the speaker, what you might do instead is adjust your proximity to the microphone, so you might bend a little more. It's okay to do that. A judge who is mindful will keep that in mind and not think that it affects your body language or your posture, your presentation, but just keep that in mind. In terms of your body language now, your speakers were so expressive. Your hand movements are good, right, for aiding your expression and emphasis, and facial expressiveness was, it demonstrated your passion as well for what you were speaking about. However, keep in mind that too many hand movements and so on can be perceived as ill-placed and distracting, right, when it doesn't match up with what you're saying. Eye contact, we connected with you. Although there was quite a bit of reading today, I suppose because of the limited time in which you had to gather the information to present your debates, we did see some eye contact. We did see the effort in you looking up from your papers and engaging with us, and we did connect. So looking at the judges and the audience members helped us in assessing your confidence and the command of material that you had. Some recommendations would be to look each judge in the eyes, especially when making strong points. Voice modulation, you kept us interested. Your inflections were appropriate and were well placed, and your arguments were given in a very natural tone. It seemed like a natural argument you were given, and that was so good, because oftentimes you would hear people debating or they're giving an argument and it seems put on. But it is always best to be genuine in your delivery, and that will prevent inappropriate and excessive use of emphasis or inflections, which of course can be distracting as well. Articulation and persuasiveness, we were swayed back and forth, which is great. That's how it's supposed to be, right? Debaters demonstrated a rich vocabulary along with relevant knowledge and application of terminologies in your proposals and your arguments. What we would recommend, though, is that you would research and use a variety of terms when referring to your competitors or your opponents. Terms that can help to prime your audience to perceive your opponents in a particular way. For example, you might say, my overzealous opponents, right? And things like that. My overconfident opponents. Things like that you can use, which would also add humor to your presentation. Finally, this comment is not really within our domain, but it's something that our team noticed and we wanted to mention to you guys. When it comes to your rebuttals, yes, you were able to refer to your opponent's points and really attack them in a respectful way and so on, but you might miss something. For example, one of the statistics that was mentioned this afternoon was not correct in terms of converting 9 out of 38 clinics into a percentage. That was not correct. The correct percentage is actually 23.68%. So if the opposing team had really listened to that, you could have used that to completely discredit any other statistics that were mentioned by the opposing team. And that, of course, can sway the judges, can certainly sway the audience in terms of what they think is credible versus not credible. And that's our comments. We do wish you guys all the best. Thank you again for doing such an excellent job and putting your best foot forward.
Thank you very much, Miss Fraser. I was hoping our director would still be here to give some brief remarks, but seems he may have stepped out, or he's coming. Oh, he's right there. Okay. So I will invite the director of the SVG Community College, Mr. Nigel Scott, to give brief closing remarks, which will be followed by Ms. Tedra Kirby, the head of the Debating Society and our Communications and Marketing Manager, as well as Mr. Gaymes, one of our sponsors. And following that, we will then do the presentation of certificates and awards and announce the winner of today's competition.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roberts. It has been quite 2 days of competition, hasn't it? Let's hear it for all of our debaters. I did not see the DAGS debaters. Oh, yes, they're here. DTV debaters, did they return today? No? But the 2 days have been really very exciting. I'm really very pleased with the level of debating that we have seen. The confidence level really has grown from yesterday to today, and it can only continue to grow with your continued practice. We will continue to provide the opportunities for you to develop this craft here at the SVGCC. For those of you who have been following our strategic planning, and even when we do our submissions for advanced proposals each year, student activities like debating and sports are always in there, because we believe that as students you need to develop to be all-rounded individuals. And we have seen it. We have seen the growth. One of our debaters said to her yesterday, this may be her second chance, second bite at the cherry. And for those of you who have been following SVGCC debating, will know that when we hosted the competition here in St. Vincent, one of our DTE debaters was a student at DAGS and was on the debating team that represented us in the Windward Islands debating competition. And if you saw her then and you see her now, you'd recognize how much she has grown. So we are pleased to see the growth, we are pleased to see the development, and we will continue, as I said, to support the efforts of our students and our debaters beyond just being the academic progress, but also into that future for yourselves. Who knows? Perhaps one of today's debaters may well become a parliamentarian in the next few years. And so for those of you who aspire in that direction, please, when you get there, lift the discourse in Parliament as it goes to debating. Are you with me? Yes. And so we give thanks to Almighty God, and we give thanks to all of our supporters, our sponsors who have really come on board. The number of sponsors has grown. And I believe that as the competition grows, we'll get more persons who are going to come on board. Mr. Gaymes, as I said yesterday, has been with us from day one. The Gaymes Book Center has been with us from day one, supporting this competition. And Mr. Gaymes doesn't just support this competition in words. Mr. Gaymes supports this competition in cash every single month. I wouldn't go into the details. But every single month, Mr. Gaymes contributes to the progress of debating here at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. So once again, debaters, job well done. Very timely and appropriate topics and well researched. And I know that at times you may have had to argue sides that you didn't necessarily agree with, but you argued nevertheless, and I didn't hear any lapses where you might have favored the other side along the way. So well done. Judges, thank you very much for your hard work. Mrs. Adams, they pulled you off for retirement. But I know that when you left her, you didn't really retire. You just put on new tires. So she's still running well on those new tires. And to our special judges over here for the best speaker, I knew you would have done an excellent job as well, and we look forward to hearing the results shortly. But like I said, you really didn't come to hear me talk. I'm just here to say thank you so much. It has been a lovely competition. And I wish COVID will go away by next year so that we can really fill LT2 and have a full audience that can really benefit in person from these debates. Well done. Congratulations to whoever wins. And yesterday I wore pink because I wanted each division to know that I was not backing any one division. Today I wore green because I know DAGS wasn't in the finals. So I know you're not going to fault me. I'm neither supporting DNE or DTE. I'm supporting SVGCC.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Scott. I'm just filling in temporarily since Mrs. Roberts Daniel stepped out. I do want to take this opportunity to now welcome Mr. Dennis Gaymes of Gaymes Book Center and, of course, one of our members of our Board of Governors to give some brief facts.
Hi. Good afternoon. Participants from the divisions of Community College, the different divisions, lecturers, and the administration of the Community College. We want to commend you for a very successful inter-divisional debate competition. Gaymes Book Center is always ready and willing to be a part of any developmental opportunities for young people. Gaymes Book Center is really passionate about the future of young people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we are very happy to be a part of the sponsorship. I think it's an investment that we sow, and we want to be sowing wisely in the future of our students. Just by information, the 2020 winners of the competition, Deanie Jaliso is now the president of the St. Vincent JSCs. I think we need to... And Casey De Freitas is the secretary. So it has borne fruits, and I think what we are doing, we want to become relevant, and we want you, the students, to take your responsibilities, to own your space, and to make use of every opportunity that comes into your hands. So again, this evening, we want to Tedra and her team and all those who have worked to make this a success. As we move on to the Windward Islands, we want to be the leader within this community. The OECS, I think St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I call it the amoeba. It's very small and manageable. Let's work together to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider OECS region, this region of the OECS, is a very valuable region that we need to invest in. So again, thank you very much, and may God bless you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaymes. As the head debating coach at the SVGCC, you would think that I would have the words to really describe. The last 2 days have been like, well, technically it's the last 6 weeks, but the last 2 days of competition. And really and truly, I can't even begin to explain it, because the grit that I saw, the work that the students put into it, the way they were able to research their arguments, structure their arguments, be receptive of constructive criticism, and being able to adapt was something that was an experience within itself. I know as we prepare to compete in the 2022 Windward Islands debating competition, I think you and I can see that the SVGCC will certainly, most definitely, absolutely be prepared for any arguments that they could possibly bring our way. I want to say thank you to the management of the SVGCC for being so supportive of this initiative from day one. I don't think I got any questions even when I submitted the budget. Our judges who were so willing to come on board, Mrs. Adams, who, as Mr. Scott said, came out of retirement, Roosevelt, Laferne, Miss Butler, Utamu, all of you guys, I'm so appreciative of your efforts and your keen interest in really keeping debating alive at the SVGCC, especially coming off of a gap year. To my debaters, and I say my debaters because even though there are 4 teams, they can tell you, in that WhatsApp group, the most messages came from me. I needed to be in every meeting. I needed to be at every rehearsal. And because of that unique position, I was really able to see how much they've come together as an entire group. Not just divisionally, but all of the debaters in a single group, exchanging ideas, talking among themselves. Students who have never met each other, even though they attend the same institution, being able to provide them with that platform and hearing them within themselves and their groups and their conversations, saying how much of an experience this has been for them in developing their thinking and their discourse, is an indication that the SVGCC and the Debating Society is doing something right. So I just want to thank everybody, our sponsors, and I know I don't want to say sponsors, our partners, Gaymes Book Center, the National Lotteries Authority, who responded immediately to our request for support, the Teachers Cooperative Credit Union, again, another immediate approval when we submitted our letter, and Digicel for so willingly coming on board, especially Caricia, who was in constant contact, answering my phone calls at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm so appreciative. And to you, the viewers, you guys engaged in your own debates in the comments. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted you to not only listen, but we wanted you to be open to hearing all sides of the arguments, and we wanted you to engage. And we saw that engagement in our social media, and we're appreciative of that. I use this opportunity to implore you to continue to support the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College in all of our initiatives, be it debating, sports, economics club, all of the extracurricular activities here, all of the programs that the college has in the pipelines that you will hear about. We do encourage your support. We would be appreciative of that. As we go into the Windward Islands Debating Competition 2022, We need you behind us. We intend to retain this title, and your support will be very valuable to us. At this time, I will ask all the participants who are here, who have been in this process for the longest while, to please come forward as we'll call your names to accept your certificates of participation. Soon after that, we will move on to the prizes, starting from the prizes from yesterday.
Okay, so we move into the presentation of certificates and awards. We will start with the Division of Arts, Sciences and General Studies team. So Miss Marika Batiste. Followed by Mr. Niston Douglas. Mr. Jelani Murray. And Miss Okay. And we move on to the Division of Nurse and Education. Miss Melanie Matthews, sorry. Miss Giselle Henry. Miss Shadane McLean. And Miss Yakilia. My apologies. the Division of Teacher Education, Miss Yakilia Joseph, Miss Yakilia Michael, Miss Naisha Richards, Miss Sylvain Johnson, and Mr. Junior Primus. And for the Division of Technical and Vocational Education, Mr. Raheem De Freitas. The other members of the DVE team are not here with us this afternoon. Okay, so we move into the awards from yesterday, from Preliminary 1 and Preliminary 2. The winner of the Best Speaker Award for Preliminary 1 of yesterday's debate, I know you did not hear the announcement of that, we chose to do it today, and that person is Miss Marika Batiste of the Division of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies. And we know the overall winner of Preliminary 1 was the Division of Nursing Education, so we'd ask them to come forward and collect that award. You can all come as a team if you wish. For Preliminary 2, we had the Division of Technical and Vocational Education and the Division of Teacher Education. The winner of the Best Speaker Award for that round goes to Mr. Junior Primus of the Division of Teacher Education. And Junior, we'll ask you to remain, as we know the winner of that round was the Division of Teacher Education. So if the other members can join us for a picture. Okay. No, remain. Okay. And for the finals, the award for the best speaker in the finals goes to Miss Naisha Richards from the Division of Teacher Education. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Director Scott.
I will now invite Mr. Gaymes to make the presentation for the overall best speaker in the competition. And the overall best speaker award goes to Mr. Junior Primus of the Division of Teacher Education. Okay. All right. So, the results of our debates today. So, tense? Okay. So, our competition was held between the Division of Teacher Education and the Division of Nursing Education. One team has 402 points and the other has 534. And so, doing the presentation for the overall winner, will be Mrs. Melissa Banwell, the head of digital at Digicel. So the winner of our competition is the Division of Nursing Education with 534 points. So I invite all the members of that team to come forward. So all the best to all of our participants, our debaters. You did an excellent job. And like everyone has said before, we look forward to the trophy staying with us in St. Vincent for the Windward Islands debating competition in March. Mr. Scott, can you hand over the winning trophy, please? Thank you. Okay, so congratulations to the Division of Nursing Education, the Division of Teacher Education, the Division of Technical and Vocational Education, and the Division of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies. Job well done to all of our debaters. Thank you very much for tuning in and streaming with us online via our Facebook page. We once again thank all of our sponsors, the Teachers Cooperative Credit Union, Digicel, National Lotteries Authority, and Gaymes Bookstore. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again next year, God's willing. Have a good weekend and a lovely afternoon.
know that it's been a tough year for everyone. And that's why we want you to spread joy this Christmas with a loan made just for you from the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $15,000 with repayment period of 4 years, an attractive interest rate, and the chance to win lots of prizes. If you're ready to check off all the items on your list or spruce up your house this Christmas, then stop in at any of our branches and apply today. For more information, visit tccusvg.com. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Oh, and don't forget you can also top up or apply for a revolving loan this Christmas. Get up to $13,000 to live your dreams this holiday season. SVG TCCU terms and conditions apply. SVG TCCU Limited, helping you spread joy this Christmas.
The SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited was built by teachers for all Vincentians. With over 40 years of providing our members with savings and loan services, we are the credit union of choice in St. Vincent. Visit us on all socials and at www.tccusvg.com to find out how you can become a member. SVG TCCU Limited, members serving members.